with one of the gentlemen I admire, and I did a television talk show back in Washington. I used to have your predecessor on semi-weekly. And you are one of the people I do admire. You've really roughed it through. Let's start with this. What do you like about this Academy Awards, this red carpet, this whole scene?
Well, I think anyone who, like, you and I, who's interviewed famous people over the years knows that there are many, many award ceremonies and events, but there's only one Oscars. And it is the biggest event. It's the one that most of the big stars come to. And it has a kind of glamour and excitement to it that is unlike anything else that we cover.
And overseas, the BAFTAs took place, and I said, who won? Overseas, how important is this?
Huge. I mean, the Oscars in Britain, for instance, where I come from, absolutely huge. I think everywhere in the world. I mean, everyone loves a bit of stardust, and there's no bigger sprinkling of stardust than there is right here on this carpet.
You want to make any predictions?
I think 12 Years a Slave should win a lot of awards tonight, and I hope it does. I think it was the most powerful movie I saw. But a lot of competition. I think Matthew McConaughey and Leo DiCaprio duking it out for Best Actor. I think Cate Blanchett's probably got the Best Actress tucked away. It's going to be pretty competitive, I think. Movie, 12 Years a Slave.
And finally, I don't think we've seen the last of you on CNN. I think we're going to see a lot of you. You're in an interesting situation. You're a one-on-one interviewer. You're a news interviewer. You bring up issues that people sometimes don't like. I'm going to just ask you, what do you want to do?
Actually, the thing I love doing most is actually big interviews. That's why I came to CNN, and we kind of got overtaken by the news cycle and ended up doing a lot more news than I anticipated. And I think the trouble with that is that I come from a very different culture in Britain, particularly when it comes to something like guns. And so I used to get very animated after all the gun outrages and say, look, I just don't understand why it has to be like this. But of course, eventually you have to realize it's a bit like going to somebody's house for dinner and saying you don't like their curtains. They may agree with you, but they don't want you to tell them.
Final question, Piers. If you could step outside of yourself and program you, so you're on the other side of the camera, say, Piers, what would you do? What would you do for CNN or any other network as a show to highlight you and the guest? What would you want?
I want to interview the biggest, most powerful, most fascinating and famous people on earth, but do them in interesting situations, on location somewhere, and that's what I'm talking about with CNN right now, to do a lot less shows, but to make them all very special. And I think if I can get that right and we can do a good deal, I'll be very happy, and so will they. You're
going to be, as I said, we haven't seen the last of you by a long shot. Any guests you want right now, big time?
If Jack Nicholson's watching, and he might be, you never know, actually. Jack, I want you to be my first one.
Piers Morgan, weeknights, 9 Eastern, and everywhere around the world.
Catch you before it's too late.